also there's been, you guys were talking about as well, the Smash Brothers tournament has been shut down. I don't have a lot of insight to this, but I know you've got a bit of an idea about it yourself, Matt. So what, in a nutshell, what has sort of transpired with that, and was it a specific version of the game?
No, it was whatever the most recent Smash Brothers is. My understanding is, because I know it's there was the Wii U version, then they put out the Switch version. They did a lot of DLC, extra characters. Not sure what that's about. But
that's Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Yeah. So as you're probably aware, fighting game communities are rather small in general compared to some of the larger things. Like, they're not large like your PUBGs and whatever the heck people are playing nowadays. So they
Call of Duty.
Yeah, Call of Duty, things like that. They don't see huge cash prizes. They don't see millions of players. But if you go back through history, Street Fighter tournaments, Evo happens once a year, every year in Las Vegas. I've always wanted to go. That's been going on for as long as I can remember. And these guys are passionate about their tournaments, right? So there was a Smash Brothers tournament set to go ahead. There was to be a decent prize pool from what I remember. I think it was, over 300 $300 or something like that.
Yeah.
And
300,000.
Yeah. Sorry, did I say 300?
300. That's like,
300,000.
if we play Donkey Kong in Australia, we get more than that. Jesus.
Yeah. So let me rephrase that. So $300,000 plus, from what I understand, because I haven't followed this closely, but it is worth mentioning. And what happened is this company called, Nintendo got it cancelled. My understanding is the reason it got cancelled is because they have an official partnership with a company called Panda.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I like the name. The name it's up there with Hamster. I'm very, very fond of Hamster Corporation.
Everyone likes pandas.
Well, yes.
Not anymore.
Yeah, no, not anymore. And so because there was an official partnership with like an esports company with Nintendo, they came along and said, well, you shouldn't do this because what's our partnership worth if people can just go off and host their own? And my understanding also is that for other esports, especially fighting games, like there's the Capcom Cup, right? So you play your Street Fighter or whatever. There's kind of rules around that too. So you can host your own tournaments, but they can't be for prizes greater than, say, $2,000 or something like that. Any tournament that has large payouts either needs to be part of the Capcom Cup, or I don't know, you have to talk to the company and negotiate something. So
there's a lot of if it's sort of capped at something like that, it's sort of, when you think about the logistics, especially like even if it's in America, like the travel, the accommodation, all that, like even if you're the winner, it's not going to really, it's going to become close to not even offsetting. So the risk versus reward's not even worth going to the event based on like your
for
financial
a very small amount of money. Yeah. So if
there's actually an official statement now.
You can read that in just a second. But if you ask me, if I practiced something all year round and I was looking forward to an event and then it got cancelled, I would be upset, right? I don't know where you would lay that blame or vent your frustration. Would you vent it at the organisers for misleading you? Not that they probably intended to mislead you. They intended to pay you stuff. They probably came out of pocket because they'd probably organised, to pay for a place to host the event and all this kind of stuff, advertising, whatever. It's nobody wins in this situation, and it's
again
bad.
And that's like if something like that were to happen, if the competition obviously we really go to is like the Kong off, like to say that would be like, Nintendo said, you can't compete in Donkey Kong anymore. We wouldn't be like, we wouldn't be upset with like Netherworld and Jimmy. There wouldn't be even in like the thought process. So they'd probably feel the exact same, because the people that are run those tournaments are probably, it's also that tight community where everyone knows everyone. That's they just because there's someone who runs the event doesn't mean that they don't have the same sort of relationship like we do with like Jimmy, for example, where he's like someone you can talk to and message and like that. They're probably not in it for the money. They're in it for the passion.
And it might be
Okay.
different with something like an arcade machine because those were sold for public play and public display. You know, they weren't intended to be in people's houses. Whereas something
Yeah.
like Smash Brothers, you boot it up, there is a legal agreement somewhere there that you can read that says, not for public performance.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just has bad optics on everyone, from the people who
Yeah.
organised the original tournament to Panda to Nintendo. You'd probably just say, let's let it happen because it's in the greater good of having these competitions, and the more people who play and the more people who go, the bigger the thing is.
So what was the
Okay.
disclaimer that they brought out?
Okay, so there's been a bit more. There's been a bit of not backpedaling, but Panda's kind of defend because it's being attacked quite severely, and they seem to indicate that Nintendo didn't really talk to them at all about what was going to happen. So the Smash World Tour Championships was cancelled, and this is the one where they lost a lot of money. Nintendo's basically statement was any partner that we grant a license to has to meet the high standards we require when it comes to the health and safety of our fans. So that was sort of like Nintendo's pinging them on their organizational abilities. Like it's a bit of dragging it in the dirt, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then Panda came back and basically said, "Look, we apologize. We were taken by surprise as much as the rest of the community that tournament
they're
was
pandering.
cancelled.
Is there?
Pandering to the public, and that they had they don't agree with the sort of a statement around that it was being, I guess, can I say it? I don't know, run bad. I don't know what they're exactly saying, but they're kind of backpedaling and trying to cover their butts as well. I think in the end, Nintendo just made a decision, and it affected heaps of fans and people of Smash Brothers, and it's disappointing, to be honest.